I don't know. Is it just me? Or does this like, okay, I gotta make it bigger because does this look a little bit racist or is it just me? Like, what? Nur, and we will add special Daki Lucy Haze commentary on top of Conure. Okay? Ready? I am ready. Wait, I have to have Conure here. Wait, I have to have Conure here. Because I'm drawing, of course.
Calling gay people the F slur.
Okay, I have to make it much more loud now. Browser, up, up. Let's close the poll because the poll is not necessary anymore. Everybody wants Lucy to do the video. I know, I am aware, okay? So now,
It's oh no, think of the children.
Yeah.
Instead of calling black people the N-word, it's oh no, forced busing, it's taxes. It's all the same shit. It's the same tactic repackaged for just the
it is.
minority group that Republicans, right-wingers, and conservatives in general don't
Hey.
think should exist, but can't
Exactly.
just put into camps and kill. So
Exactly.
they do all this Rube Goldberg tactics to try to make it so that they live the worst
Come on.
possible lives.
Yeah.
They can.
Yeah.
It's Conure. I just hopped into the editing booth with High Progressive real quick. I wanted to let you know that this video was actually recorded on March 25th, 2022. So if it seems like I'm missing out some key elements of the broader trans-related topic, it's because this was filmed on March 25th, 2022. It's still relevant. It's still an interesting video, so I thought we
It
would
is
put it
super
out. I hope
relevant.
you enjoy it. So for those of you
Okay.
who don't know, if you've been living under a rock or just generally don't pay attention to some of the most important things that happen in the world,
How'd you
I
do?
recently built the Voyager spacecraft out of metal that you have to bend yourself. They come in flat sheets, and it's a lot of work. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
I do work.
Cool. Recently,
I am cool.
Leah Thomas became the first transgender athlete to
Oh
win
no.
NCAA Division I.
Oh, it's still super relevant because many months later, people still cry about a swimmer. I don't even like sports. Sports are lame, okay? We should just abolish sports. How about that? We should abolish sports, and then there will be no problem with unfairness in sports. I have spoken. Abolish sports and give all the funding from sports to Lucy Haze. Okay? There you go.
And this has caused somewhat of a stir online, mostly from people
Somewhat.
who deny basic biology and medical consensus.
Also, not just online, sadly, offline as well. I think bigoted politicians kept crying about this as well, not just online.
You know, you've seen it already. This is not new to
Yeah.
anybody. And it's been a lot of transphobia surrounding it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There's
Still
also
is.
been
People
this
still cry about this.
thread of, ooh, trans women are invading women's sports and are threatening to unseat all the women.
Oh no, women are playing women's sports.
Men are just inherently better at doing everything than women because women suck at literally everything. It's nonsense. For the most part, there are a mild amount of biological factors in regards to
Women doing women's
male or
sports is
female
bad.
AMAB or
You've
APAB,
heard
but
it.
They're not super major, and definitely not as explosive as a lot of transphobes are
I'm
making it out to be.
explosive.
Simply put, trans people are just on the chopping block right now. It's not okay to openly shit on gay people or
There still are. So many months later, they still cry about the swimmer thing.
women or black and brown people.
But actually, the only reason why I'm not a top champion in every single sport in the world is because I recognize that I'm trans, and therefore I simply don't participate because I would just, jump in and win millions of dollars, okay? It's true. It's true. I'm just trying to keep things fair. In football, softball, swimming, etc. I could take it all.
Acceptable. I made a video about this that you could watch about how, if trans people succumb to the attacks of the transphobes of the world, they will go after gay people next. But what I find interesting in this, because of some experience that I
Money's a little tight. Maybe I should just swoop in and get a few medals.
Is that a lot of the attacks that trans people will get are based a lot around their masculine characteristics. So, for instance, we've got this image, which is I think inspired by the Leah Thomas win. I mean, it makes sense considering it's about swimming. I don't actually.
If this is democracy, I would like to vote for Wiggler Ducky as a new stream leader. Now I am great supporter of Lucy and all her policies throughout the year, but a little shake-up in the establishment never hurt. I know pretty much nothing about that Wiggler Ducky suppress or fights war, but I know Wiggler Ducky's spunk and passion for wiggling will shake things up in the democracy. It's true! What do you mean, S? What do you mean, S? You should be like SRS, serious, you know? SRS like serious. I can't believe. Can you really look at this and say S like sarcasm when you should be like SRS like super serious? This looks a bit racist, to be honest. I don't know. Is it just me? Or does this like... Okay, I'm gonna make it bigger because... Does this look a little bit racist or is it just me? Like, what? This is so strange. Also... I might be mistaken. I'm not a swimmer, okay? I am not a swimmer like Xander Hall, but doesn't having like a super buff, like, isn't a super like buff figure like a detriment to swimming? Like, don't most if not all professional swimmers have a pretty lean figure? Not a buff figure like some sort of like a you know, weightlifter, you know, wouldn't it like be, like, is this like, am I imagining it, or would it just actually be a detriment in swimming fast to have like a big bulky figure? Like, it seems to me that it would, because most swimmers are pretty lean, to be honest. Like, okay, let's look it up actually. Okay? Let's put my theory to the test. Top male swimmers. Let's see how they're built, okay? If they're super buff. Yeah, top swimmers. Top swimmers are not like super buff. They are pretty lean. See? Swimmers have a lean figure. This one has more buff figure, but overall, what's top female swimmers? Yeah, plus girl swimmers are also pretty buff, okay? Lean but buff. Like, there is no swimmer in the top league that like they don't have like this sort of model-like figure, okay? So this is wrong on this extreme. Seems a bit strange for a swimmer. Like, the top left seems like a bit of a weird extreme, as well as the top right seems like a little bit of a weird extreme. Okay, but I have spoken enough. We'll let Conure comment as well. I have given the deep commentary. Now it's time for Conure, okay?
No, because I don't follow this deranged and delusional artist. They make a lot of shit like this. We've got the more feminine person here.
Who is this?
And then we've got a more masculine person here. And I imagine this is supposed to be a representation of Leah Thomas, but this is not what Leah Thomas looks like. Obviously, it's hyperbole. It's in the comic. But let me see if I can get this image. Here we go. So this is what Leah Thomas actually looks like. And now these are the three other women. We assume these are, you know, biological women assigned female at birth. By the way, apparently the story, there are some people that are thinking like, oh, these three are transphobic. I don't even know if they are or not. But apparently they're all posing for this particular picture by themselves away from the first place winner because they competed together at a previous thing, I think for Tokyo or whatever. So they wanted to get a picture of all three of them together since they are, I think, second, third, and fourth. It's just a thing, you know. They're not like purposefully distancing themselves from Leah Thomas. But this is what Leah actually looks like. And I guess she's got a jacket on here, but she doesn't look like super fucking built, especially.
Who is George Alexopoulos? Can I see? The artist, you mean? The artist? Oh my gosh. Let's see. Oh wow. This was what the swimming comic was one of the better comics of this artist because those comics are not very nice. What is this? We can endure higher prices to fight tyranny. Consider it a patriotic donation. What? How about build better public transport? How about that? That would help. Young lady, do you know why I pulled you over? Because you want to date me. What the? I don't get it. I don't get the humor. I tax the rich. I don't get it. I don't. Happy birthday. I don't. I don't get the humor. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not smart enough for the comic. Wait, that's me. Yes, I'm just not smart enough for this comic. Horny posting. Is it safe for word? Is it safe for Twitch? Is it safe for Twitch? What's this? What? Okay, let's continue because I don't see many comic. Like, you might say that this is old story, but people still cry about this to this day, okay? People still cry about it.
Actually not like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is what transphobes will do. They will exaggerate the...
But then, on one hand, yeah, Leah Thomas, yeah, she's not like this, but also, I would like to point out, these girls are not exactly like this either, okay? They are not like the top left either. I would just like to add this little thing. Both top left and the lower right are big exaggerations, okay? I would say in equal measure.
Psychology behind the motivation for some people that do this, kind of interesting. So if we look at a previous example of things that I've gone through, when I went over how I thought Twitch chat, and specifically the left, helped reclaim Pepe the Frog, the funny frog that we all know and love, that I have made my own version of, that you can see on my website chat, Conure.cc.
Should I make a duck frog? Duck frog?
Twitch.tv/ConureCC. There's a lot of cool frogs. They're very cute. Look at this guy. Look, they're sitting around a fire, having a great time. Very cute. I got a bunch of hate.
Frogs are not cute.
Nerds. So this person says, you literally have a deeper voice and look more masculine than me, lol.
What?
It's really interesting. Because it's like, so this person is under the impression that I am trying to be a woman. They think I am a trans woman. I'm trying to pass as a woman in society. I'm trying to hide a variety of the more masculine features that I have in order to do that. But that's obviously not the case. If I wanted to, I could be doing vocal training in order to have a higher pitched voice. It's actually really difficult for me to make my voice higher than it is because of how deep it is by default.
I do voice training. I do voice training. Did you know? Did you know that Lucy does voice training?
But I speak with this voice because I like it a lot. I am a very big fan of my voice. And the idea that you think it's an own to say to me, oh, you have a deeper voice than me. I assume this person is assigned male at birth and is trying to be very masculine. And you look more masculine than me, lol. Like, you're literally
I'm feminine
in an attempt to shit on me. And I noticed that this happens a lot with images like this and the standard transphobic retort to how trans women look. So here, this is like the Leah Thomas interpretation, or the male swimmer here is exaggerated in their masculinity, but Leah actually just looks like this.
Yeah.
She's not nearly that built. I don't know if she wants to be, but currently she isn't. So it's just it's a bit odd that you would draw her this way. Obviously, exaggeration, it's a comment.
But as I said before, as I've said a couple of times already, actually, the three girls don't look like the upper left picture either, okay? They don't look like this either. This and this both. This. Actually, I'm gonna... Okay, capture. Cursor is here. So yeah.
Yada yada. But this is a common theme. So if we look at this one here as well, here's another one from this deranged artist. It's another idea of like, oh, you know, trans women are invading women's sports, which, by the way, doesn't happen. We'll get into that later. Here we have, you know, the more feminine person, and then here is a more masculine and also somewhat racist caricature.
What the?
Man, which is very interesting.
I mean, the one before seemed racist as well. I don't know.
It might tell you a little bit more about this person's political ideology and takes on social issues. But anyway, incredibly hyper-masculine, where a lot of the times trans women are not looking like this, okay? Not every trans woman is looking like a fucking bodybuilder. If you look at this one as well, this is the more recent one that I've seen. It's just, you know, this lady is at a deli counter and getting some
that may be a little bit of a nitpick, but what sort of a girl says, no woman's gonna stand in my way? Who says that? No woman's gonna stand in my way. What? This is such weird dialogue. I swear. No woman's gonna stand in my way.
The times trans women are not looking like this, okay? Not every trans woman is looking like a fucking bodybuilder. If you look at this one as well, this is the more recent one that I've seen. It's just, you know, this lady is at a deli counter getting some shit, and it's like the idea that trans women are trying to cut the line. You know, that's literally what they're doing here in the picture. And it's like one of the most masculine representations that you could possibly see.
As always.
You know, they've got massive shoulders, massive neck, very strong.
What the hell?
When it comes to masculinity. But then you look at how this guy depicts himself. This is this person drawing himself. So you see, your art is so good, but I hate your politics. I hate them. This is literally his depiction.
What the hell? This is such... What the hell? Such weird fantasy. Yeah, I know you don't mean Conure. Conure is probably pretty... you know, he has maidens, I think. What the hell? Oh, this is what he meant by horny posting. Like, this sounds so desperate. Oh yeah, women love you. Bad boy, bad boy. Such a bad boy. Oh my gosh. Such a bad boy. Oh, bad boy.
And he is not even close to as masculine as any of the trans women he's depicting in a negative light. Which
maybe when a man goes on estrogen, then a man becomes more buff.
is really fucking interesting to me. And the reason why that's interesting to me is kind of like a small aspect of the psychology of people who are trying to do these kinds of attacks. I'm not saying this is everybody who is transphobic or plays up the masculine elements of trans women in order to shit on them or whatever, but I'm imagining there's a lot of them, especially for the incels that raided me from 4chan previously.
True.
Have done it again in the past as well. So in the most recent installment, Tradcath Incel Nazis reacted to my "Why Do Conservative Men Love Anime Girls" video. I made another video shitting on all the comments. And here's another one. Your voice is so deep, even Frank Oregon can't even compete. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's always playing up the masculine parts of trans people. But here's his own depiction of himself. He's drawn himself like either having a dad bod or somewhat of a twink, you know? And what's interesting to me for that is, I guess, multifaceted. For trans women, trans femme people in general, a lot of the things that they might feel dysphoria about or even dysmorphia about is the more masculine elements of their body.
Yeah,
Because
true.
in order to currently in society be perceived as a woman, you have to fall in the stereotypes of what people expect women to be, which is usually smaller build, shorter, softer facial features,
True.
and all the rest. Not a lot of muscle tone or build, etc., etc. So because
True.
people are born AMAB, you might have some of these elements that you don't really like and kind of make
I
you
do.
to fit into the
I do
society
have them
understanding of what
elements
a
that
woman
I
is supposed
don't
to look
like. It's
And a lot
true.
of those times, it's things that are harder to change, like how tall a person
Yeah,
is,
I know. I'm
how
too
wide their
tall.
shoulders
And my feet
their
are too
facial
big and my
structure,
hands
how
are too
shag
big. I
their
know.
jaw
Yeah,
is,
I
their
know.
brow or whatever else.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is if you look at incel boards, there are people out there that are like chin cells, they call themselves. where
What?
They don't have like the Chad chin or the Chad jaw. It's like all the way sucked in, and they're upset about that because their idea of what a man is supposed to look like, what society expects men to look like, is men who have very strong masculine facial features, which is usually a wide jaw, very angular face,
Wide
very
jaw.
pronounced features that are very like rigid. And if you don't have that, then you feel some kind of dysphoria or dysmorphia about how your body is and how
That's right.
with how you're expected to look and how you want to look as a man. So you'll see these incels who are often transphobic shit on trans women for having very wide jaws or very angular features. And
Right.
it makes you wonder, like, how much of that is envy? Because if you think
I mean,
those people, those incels, really
that's
have
possible.
a defined face.
Though I would argue, from my perspective, that does not exactly make it any better. Because I'm not exactly, I don't know, other people's envy or something doesn't make me happier. It just means that we're both miserable.
They want the wide jaw, the pronounced chin. The trans femmes and the trans
I
women,
mean, it's possible.
they usually would prefer to have softer facial features, less
True.
of a wide jaw. It's all
True.
plastic surgery stuff. That's a lot of sauce.
Although, I would like to point one thing out, that while women have not wide jaw, less wide of a jaw, the jaw is still pronounced. It's still not sucked in, as Conure has described it. It's not wide, but it's not tucked in. Does it make sense? It makes sense, right?
It makes you wonder, like, if these incels are looking at trans women, these trans women might even
With
have
envy.
a lot of the aspects of that masculine representation that those incels want. And it's like, why don't you want that when I, as an incel, so definitely do? And you want to get rid of it? Like, it's like an element of envy mixed with, like, well, if I was in your position, I would love having those features. I don't know. It's nothing that I could ever find in data. It's just kind of like an idea that
That's
have.
possible, but that doesn't make it better.
To me. And it's illustrated a bit through my own experiences being, rated by these people, as well as, this just being
Well,
exceptionally
I use an avatar, so with me they can only,
that this guy is depicting all
with me they only can basically focus on my voice. Also, it's really funny that he's implying here that his art basically just makes women fall all over him. Okay? The art of this person makes people fall over him.
all three of them are infinitely more masculine and would be desired
Than him,
more
yeah.
for their masculine traits if they identified as men than this person's own representation.
True!
A comic where he could exaggerate any element of him to make himself look better has done. It's very, very interesting to me.
Strange.
Maybe this guy doesn't give a shit. Maybe he's fine with the fact that he's got a dad bod or looks like a twink or whatever. That's also totally fine. It is what it is. But it's just interesting to me. And it's illustrative, I think, of a lot of different ways that I have seen myself attacked by these incels.
Yeah, usually they attack my
A
voice.
stinky little idea that I wanted to talk about really quick. What's all
With the sheer number of trans investigators who will just call cis people trans with zero evidence, I'm not sure how widespread this actually is. Yeah. And also, I think the YouTuber Sean head was also called like trans by the transvestigators.
Also really interesting about this, and since we're here, we might as well. Here's a tweet thread that I found very illuminating about
Okay.
the whole trans women in sports thing. So I'm
Okay.
just going to read a lot of it, probably not all of it. So Dr. Shree Becker, I've been hearing more frequently the narrative that women's sport apparently exists as a, quote, protected category so that women can win. This is A, not the reason why women's sport exists as a category. And B, it is not true that women will never win again. This narrative is profoundly paternalistic and keeps women small. Imagine my shock. So they go on to actually show us the history of the women's category in sport. So let's unpack this a little. A, women's sport exists as a category because the dominance of male athletes was threatened by women competing. You see this in the history of the sport. Exhibit A1, figure skating. In 1902, Madge Cyrus enters the world champs and comes second, no rule preventing her, though no woman has ever entered before. In 1903, women are banned from the world championship.
Uh-oh.
And in 1905, there is now a segregated women's category. Seems odd. I mean, in this instance, a woman is out.
Women.
What people expect women to do.
Women are invading men's spaces.
Figure skating. I mean, it's that mamby-pamby, pansy-ass, pussy, libtard, beta-cuck bullshit. Who the fuck?
Michelle Obama. Oh no,
anyway?
that's racism as well. That's a whole other, you know.
So we'll go on. Exhibit.
Like Michelle Obama, that's racism as well. That's a whole other like thing that cis black women, okay, who have higher testosterone or do well in sports, cis black women are often called quote unquote quote men. So there's also like this racist element to it.
2. Skeet shooting. In 1992 in Barcelona, Zhang Shang wins the gold medal. The event had always been an open event, no gendered categories. 1996 in Atlanta, women are now banned from the shooting. Now, there's no way to know if this is the exact cause, but it's an interesting correlation at least. And in 2000 in Sydney, there is a segregated women's category, fewer targets for women.
Women.
Like, oh, well, how are other women performing?
Women are invading men's spaces. Oh no! Oh no, we have to keep it fair. Women are too good.
In a similar capacity?
Oh no!
Are there women that are underperforming? Is this an outlier for women that are overperforming? I wish we had more information, but it's a tweet thread. There's only so much you can really do. Exhibit A3, football. We imagine this is like soccer for the goddamn Americans out there. 1920, women's football is thriving in the UK, oi bruv, with 53,000 strong crowds. Men had been fighting off in World War I. In 1921, FA, Football Association, bans women's football. Men had returned from World War I. In 1971, 50 years later, the ban is lifted. Women's football is still recovering. So the women's football category is outright banned.
Also, by the way, there are schools in some countries that introduce mixed teams in soccer/football, which means boys just play with girls at school, okay? There is no segregation in genders for football/soccer in some countries at school level. So this is actually also interesting. I wonder if we would choose this do away with segregate. I wonder if it would be better to just do away with segregation in sports altogether, though I'm sure that could bring its own issues. It could, but I think there's better way to segregate sports than by gender. But as I said just a minute or a few seconds ago, some schools, when it comes to football/soccer, do away with the segregation. And nothing major happens, as it turns out. So, you know, I'm just saying.
It's interesting. I don't know why you wouldn't just keep it segregated, but I mean, it is the UK, bruv, so you know, shit's pretty backwards over there. Definitely not the same in the United States, that's for sure. More examples exist, but the pattern is clear. Where women were included, or simply included themselves, it was only when they started threatening men's dominance and entitlement that we were segregated into a separate category. This is why we still see sport and women's sport. These are different categories. Women's inclusion was on the terms of those in power. They didn't want women taking opportunities.
Women too good.
So they segregated.
We are too
good. It was
good.
never about a benevolent, still sexist, aim of supposedly, quote, giving women a chance to win. It was about control, which is literally the entire idea of men wanting to remain the, you know, hegemon of
True.
gender.
We are too good. Men are lame.
Not just women.
When are lame, we are
Being
good.
inherently physically inferior to men, concocted as a reason to segregate us without threatening masculinity. And the idea would be that, oh no, we're not trying to...
This is actually by this is actually getting into a really interesting thing, okay? Because I've read a book about the history of women in Poland in the, I think, 18th, 19th century. And in fact, in Poland, the whole thing that women are to raise children, etc., was incorrect in Poland. In Poland, women were considered to be inferior intellectually, and it was said that education would be a waste on them. And also, very interestingly enough, it was said that women are actually not good enough to rear children, that it should be men to do it. So it sounds very similar to the sports thing now that you think about it.
Separate men from women because women are doing better than some men. It's that, oh no, women are just, it's impossible for them to win because of biological differences. It's inherent. You can't.
Interesting, huh?
The women you see. We continue. There are once again actually greater fears here that women may start to challenge men's dominance more broadly. Exhibit B1, ultra endurance racing. So here's an.
Oh, I actually know about this.
So we'll just get a quick overview of this. Among the world's most celebrated long-distance foot races, the Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc, it's French, okay, it's a fake language, is known for being particularly brutal.
Also, while we're discussing whether or not sports are segregated for concrete reasons, chess tournaments are often segregated based on gender, which makes no sense, to be honest. But this actually has an underlying weird reason that women cannot compete as well in chess, which is sort of like, what? Go, Baduk, you know, the game. Go, I will show you. Go, Baduk, show you the game. The game of Go, unlike chess, okay, the professional league of Go is not segregated by gender. Okay, this game is not segregated by gender, and all people of all genders play against each other. No problem.
The 106
in the
miles
professional
through the
league.
French, Swiss, and Italian Alps climbs more than 33,000 feet as it loops around its namesake peak. The weather can be savage, heavy rain, frigid nights, hot and humid days. In August 2013, Rory Bozio, more like Bozo, am I right?
What?
Took off from the start line without grand expectations, having never won a major event. She trailed well behind the leaders for the first 6 hours, but as the race stretched into the evening and most competitors slowed, Bozio held her pace. When the lanky brown-haired American runner in pink shoes and a blue running skirt crossed the finish line in 22 hours, 37 minutes, she destroyed the women's record by 2.5 hours. Bozio took 7th place overall, becoming the first woman to crack the top 10 at the event and beating dozens of elite pro men. This wasn't the first event. The consensus among
was she banned?
Several key physical advantages over women that make their edge at the elite level insurmountable in all but a few highly specialized sports. But they also concede that we're only beginning to understand what women endurance athletes are capable of. A growing pattern of race results suggests that the longer and more arduous the event, the better the chances women have of beating men. It's very interesting. We've got B3, the ban on men pacemaking for women. Wait. Women who run marathons alongside men no longer allowed... What? This is just curious to me. Women who run marathons alongside men no longer allowed to set world records. In 2011, Paula Radcliffe finished the London Marathon in 2 hours, 15 minutes and 25 seconds, the fastest time ever registered by a woman running the 26.2-mile race. Radcliffe's performance that day has been hailed as one of the greatest individual performances in the history of sports, but as January 1st of next year, that record will be wiped from the annals of marathon world records. Why? Because the London Marathon allows women to run alongside male pacemakers, and officials from the International Association of Athletics Federations have decided that running alongside these men makes women artificially faster? Wait, how?
What? That's what? Sorry, what? That's such bullshit. What? What the hell? Running along men makes women artificially faster? What sort of a bullshit excuse is that? That makes no sense. What the what? What are they saying? What are they saying? What is this? Am I hearing this correctly? Yeah, true. Hysteria might hit us. What the what? What?
Have to run alongside the men. They're literally keeping pace. How does it make them artificially faster? Perhaps the article will elucidate.
Yeah.
That women who run in marathons
I know. So men are broader, which means that they stop the air, and women go run behind and don't have to face the air, and then I don't know. I don't get it.
that feature a mixed group of pacers, as many
I don't get it.
including Chicago, won't register times that qualify
Why?
for the world record.
What the?
Also means that no woman can ever set another world record unless she's being paced by other women. Radcliffe's old record will be referred to as, quote, world best. Radcliffe will hand the world record title off to herself for a 2005 London Marathon performance where she finished the race in 2 hours, 17 minutes, 42 seconds.
Are you serious?
2 minutes slower. The San Francisco Chronicle argues that this is unfair, sexist, and does a disservice to both Radcliffe's performance and female athletes in general. The World Marathon Majors and the Association of International Marathons have issued a joint statement calling the ruling, quote, unfair and confusing.
Yeah.
I would like to add that not only is this sexist and confusing, this is pure unadulterated fuckery.
It is.
Women run alongside male pacemakers does tend to improve their times by a full 2 minutes or so. No woman, including Paula Radcliffe, has come within 2 minutes of her soon-to-be invalidated world record time. Some argue that even without the male...
This video is really good and really adds a lot of perspective to the whole trans women in sports discourse, okay? Like, this really sounds like this is really interesting. This is a really good video. I'm gonna like it and I'm gonna link it after we finish. I'm gonna link it in the chat, okay? So you can go and give Conure some love because this is some good work.
2003 London Marathon, Radcliffe still would have shattered the previous world record. But for now...
This is some really good work.
It's, yeah, completely ludicrous. It's very odd. There are some really
Yeah.
examples in research studies that show that the more men participate against women, the more they come to accept that women can be good athletes. Makes sense.
What do you know?
Inclusivity helps in a variety of ways for people that are ignorant.
Yeah.
Just as cis women are kept small, so too are trans women kept small. Quote, the idea that women and girls have an advantage because they are trans ignores the actual conditions of their lives.
Yeah.
Sport isn't inherently gendered. We manufacture strict binary gender differences and then we naturalize them. Understanding and interrogating this helps us to understand the panic fear-mongering around women's sport right now and where we might go.
This is actually how there's this myth that men used to go out and hunt and women would just stay at the cave or whatever or at home and take care of the children, which apparently is not true at all. I'm gonna try to Google it. Women used to hunt as well. Like, it's apparently a myth, okay? Let me see. Women didn't hunt myth. Ancient women were gatherers and men hunters, right? Wrong. Okay? So there are a lot of myths around because of biological differences, okay? There are a lot of myths and stereotypes, okay? Ancient men were hunters and women were gatherers, right? Wrong. Archaeologist evidence from Peru has revealed that some ancient big game hunters were in fact women, challenging what science writer James Gorman wrote was one of the most widely held tenets about ancient hunters and gatherers, that males hunted and females gathered. Man the Hunter is a narrative of human origins developed by early 20th century developed by early century anthropologists armed with their imaginations and a handful of fossils. They viewed hunting done by man as the prime driver of human evolution, bestowing upon our early ancestors bipedalism, big brains, tools, and lust for violence. In this narrative, hunting also gave rise to the nuclear family, as women waited at home for men to bring home the meat, which is apparently BS. As an anthropologist who studied hunting and gathering societies, I was thrilled by the discovery of female skeletons buried with big game hunting paraphernalia, a pattern that raises important questions about ancient gender roles. But I found most of the media coverage it generated disappointingly inaccurate. Responding to the final, journalist Annalie Newitz wrote, nicknamed Man the Hunter, this is the notion that men and women in ancient societies had strictly defined roles. Men hunted and women gathered. Now this theory may be crumbling. In fact, that theory died a well-deserved death decades ago. There we go. I'm not gonna read the whole article now because we're watching Conure, but I am going to link his video as well as this article after we are done, okay?
Why would you even separate shooting? I have no fucking idea. You're literally aiming a thing and pulling a trigger, and depending on the distance, accounting for a variety of factors, all of which do not include anything about the physicality of the person, outside of the literal physical ability to hold a gun. The entire point of guns was that it made it so that literally anybody could fight, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be a massive fucking 6'4" built like a brick house Giga Chad in order to wear a full suit of armor and a sword anymore, because now you can just hold a gun and some body armor and you're flat killing people immediately, if you can hit the target anyway. It's very interesting. What else did I have?
It is interesting, isn't it?
Another funny little thing. So this article says, Florida Governor DeSantis issues an official proclamation declaring a Florida resident the, quote, rightful winner of an NCAA women's swimming championship race over transgender swimmer Leah Thomas. AKA
What?
Florida Governor DeSantis issues an official participation trophy for the second place finisher. This is the side of the aisle that is very much against participation trophies and very for allowing the winner to be decided through the competition itself. And other videos have already gone into
That's a lie, of course.
track record. The common retort will be like, oh, when Leah Thomas was competing against males, she was doing terribly, so she ended up transitioning into a woman and
Apparently,
hormone therapy
what?
and a variety of social ills
Oh
in
my
order to
God.
perform better against
Yeah,
cis
because
women,
people...
which is not true. Another one from Aaron. You ever hear how Leah Thomas, quote, was a 400th ranked swimmer and is now number 1? This is a lie and deception. Leah Thomas started HRT in May 2019. She competed on the guys team on HRT, hence her low numbers, meaning that when you start taking HRT, when you start blocking the testosterone that your body produces, and when you start introducing estrogen, this will often lead to changes in ability to build muscle, maintain muscle, leads to different changes in your overall strength and a variety of other things that happen to the body.
But it makes you a lot cuter, so I think it's like offsets the loss of strength, okay? Being cuter is nicer than being strong. Am I right or am I right? Do you agree with me? I think you all agree with me when I say that being cute is nicer than being strong, right? Okay, let's do a poll about this. What's better? Cute or strong? Being cute. Cute! All the way. Cute! Come on! Strong! Boo 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 boo! And of course, my favorite third option. Start poll. I love the polls, okay? So we will continue the video once you answer the poll, okay? Because I'm really curious about what you gigglers will choose, okay? I'm super curious. Like, I love doing those polls, like I'm a big fan, okay? Come on! Do you want to be cute? Do you want to be strong? Or do you want to be... I want to be cute. But I sometimes also want to be... I don't really want to be that strong. But it's a contest between being... and being cute. Okay? Come on! Being cute is cute. So, okay, in the meantime, I have to tell you all that, like, I think color really makes a difference, and like the color really makes a difference, okay? Color really makes the animation come to life, I have to say. Okay, let's see how we're doing with the poll. Cute and quack. I mean, strong is only applicable if your power is challenged by who's gonna challenge is a mega cutie. Yeah, exactly. The power of cuteness. Okay, it's a winner between cute and quack, which is fair enough. You know, it's a tough choice. I admit. I admit it's tough. Okay, it's rough out there.
Which makes it often harder to compete. In 2018, she had top 8 finishes in 500, 1,000, and 650-yard freestyle. So she was doing well.
Freestyle.
Against cis men, started doing badly because of the effects of HRT on the body, and then is now competing against cis women and is doing well. It's almost like she's always had the mechanics for swimming to be a good swimmer, and has always been a good swimmer. Very interesting stuff.
It's okay, I'm also a trans woman, so if I started swimming today, I'll probably beat everyone because that's how it works.
Trans swimmer Leah Thomas's ridiculous pre-transition, she was 10 seconds behind the male record. Post-transition, she is 10 seconds behind the female record. She lost 30 seconds in transition. Nobody had a problem before. It's almost like the only difference is that she's trans, which is absolutely true.
True!
It's very odd that the side of the aisle that is very much against these kinds of like fake, you know, rigging of competition, giving out people participation trophies and is going to destroy the West or whatever, are very excited to do so if it means that they can weaponize the humanity of trans people for political clout.
Because those people don't really have any principles.
Trans people is being weaponized for votes by these delusional people like Governor DeSantis, who allowed hundreds of thousands of his own citizens to die by not acting in the face of the COVID pandemic. And defense of trans people is more important now than...
So Conure said at the beginning that this video might have aged not well, but I would go as far as to say that it's more relevant than it was in March, because since then there have been many pushes for laws and people still talk about women in sports. So I would say that it became even more relevant. So I think putting out this video was a really, really good call. I think this is a really good add-on to the whole conversation. Like, I'm really thankful for a video like this.
A major thing you will
really good video.
These politicians are understanding that how in the past weaponizing gay people in order to whip your bigoted voter base to vote for you and to come out to the polls was successful, but now they can't really do that to gay people because gay people are more accepted in society now than they ever have been, and that actually hurts you when you do that. So now they're doing it to trans
until bigots get their way and also roll back gay rights as well, but that's a whole different story, isn't it? Yeah, you would be quack. You would be quack. Because that is how it works. True.
Trans people you would be the next people. Yeah. In the past, this was black people as well, by the way. They still do it, just to a lesser extent.
They still do it.
Famous quote from a person that I cannot recite on Twitch, but will give you... Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's that one official of some political administration, Republican, who was saying, oh, in the past you could say N-word, 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 but now you say forced busing or whatever else. You know what I'm talking about? Does anybody have a Lee Atwater? Thank you. Lee, this is an interesting Google search. Lee Atwater. So I have so artfully censored it. This is a Nation article, but the article itself is not important. It's just the quote I'm looking for.
Also, very recently, there were black cis women who had higher testosterone, and bigots in comments would call her a man. People would say, oh, this is a man. So, there's also racism. Absolutely.
For liberals and leftists enraged by the way Republicans never suffer the consequences for turning electoral politics
into
a kind of smoking gun. The late legendarily brutal campaign consultant Lee Atwater explains how Republicans can win the vote of racists without sounding racist themselves. So this is Lee Atwater, quote, "You start out in 1954 by saying N-word, N-word, N-word," but he literally says it. By 1968, you can't say N-word. That hurts you, backfires. So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff, and you're getting so abstract. Now you're talking about cutting taxes, and all these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and a byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites. Quote, we want to cut this is much more abstract than even the busing thing.
Well, now you have the trans issues, so...
N-word. This is literally the playbook behind a lot of this, just, you know, not exactly one-to-one. I'm not trying to compare the plight of trans people to black people, blah, 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 blah. All right, you rad libs out there, don't get on my ass, all right? We're fine. But this is how that works, right? They are weaponizing identities of people, but they're trying to be as covert about it as they possibly can. Now, in some ways, luckily, because unfortunately it is, for whatever reason, acceptable for people to be bigoted against trans people with almost no consequence currently in society, which is why they weaponize trans people now, there are a lot of them out there that'll literally just straight up say it. So, like, recently, who was it? So we've got the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, from Texas, giving us a screenshot of Rachel Levine, who is a trans woman in the Biden administration.
Okay.
USA Today opinion piece on Meet These Exceptional Women of the Year. And literally the Attorney General for Texas is straight up just like, no, that's a man, which is false. Like, factually, it's a woman.
Yeah.
So simply because the Attorney General, somehow he got to the Attorney General position, doesn't understand basic sociological concepts such as gender, nor does he understand basic biology in regards to sex. He is just incorrectly stating that Rachel Levine is a man. And luckily, Twitter was like, oh my god, it violated the rules, but it's, I think, in the public's interest for the tweet to remain accessible. And in theory, I can understand why they do this, but like, it's just a bit odd. I don't know. Anyway. So, like, some of them are more than willing to just say it outright, but if they're not, then they'll do it in the veil of, oh, no, we will care about the integrity of women's sports, which is the same thing, by the way. Instead of just calling trans women the T-slur, they'll just be like, oh, no, it's about the integrity of women's sports. Instead of calling gay people the F-slur, it's, oh, no, think of the children. Instead of calling black people the N-word, it's, oh, no, forced busing, it's taxes.
What?
It's all the same shit.
Can someone explain me to me what forced busing? Also, can someone in the chat write what forced busing is? Because I don't... Maybe I'm not bigoted enough for this.
Group that Republicans, right-wingers, and conservatives in general don't think should exist, but can't just put into camps and kill, so they do all this Rube Goldberg tactics to try to make it so that they live the worst possible lives that they can.
True.
For reasons unknown. Insecurity, there's a whole bunch of shit.
Well...
Oh, exactly.
There's also a very concrete reason to get votes of bigots.
The government. Exactly. You'll notice this with the Supreme Court hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, where a lot of claims of like CRT are being tied to her.
Yep.
Literally, for conservatives, CRT is just the new way to say the N-word.
Yep.
Okay? That's all that is. Here, let me give you a clear example of that.
True.
Ready? Check this out, chat. You're not ready. That's literally all that is. CRT is just the silencer on the N-word. Okay? The integrity of women's sports is just the silencer on the idea that conservatives want all trans people to stop existing through whatever method.
If you think about it, despite how much anti-LGBTQ stuff in Poland, the national flag is just 2/5 of the trans flag with the saturation turned up. True! True! That is true. Exactly, yeah. Trans flag should be the Polish flag. When school segregation in the US was deemed unconstitutional, the schools remained de facto segregated because that's just how people lived. Therefore, white kids were driven in buses to black majority schools and vice versa in order to help the segregation. So that's good, no? That is good, right? Like, it's good to have the segregation, right? Or no? I think helping the segregation is good. Oh, hello, Himawari. That's good. Good to watch the stream. We are animating Adaki here. As you can see,
it's all the same.
We are animating the Daki and we're watching Conure. So have fun. definitely have fun, and we're gonna do a lot of interesting stuff, okay? We are working on it. Why would you don't? That's so strange. Yeah? Really? Oh, nice. Hello, class. Hello, hello. Please subscribe to Daki, okay? Please subscribe to Daki Lucy Haze. Watch the nice animation. Like, follow me on Twitch. And I hope you will become viewers of Daki Lucy Haze, okay? So let's continue watching Conure. And we will add our own perspective on the issue, okay? And we will finish animating our beloved Ducky while we do this, okay? Alright, let's go. True. Become a Patreon. Oh, this is a perfect opportunity since we have viewers. Like, there are two links that I would love to share with everybody, okay? Boom. Here. Here. Okay? Patreon and coffee. If you want to give me a coffee, feel free. If you want to become a Patreon, please do, because I'm in a pretty rough shape and I need to go to the dentist. Okay, let's continue.
But I did want to end on a positive note. So here we have the 18th governor of Utah. Utah, in particular, trans women. So I'll read a little bit of this. From Spencer J. Cox, governor of Utah. Mr. President and Mr. Speaker, I believe in fairness and protecting the integrity of women's sports. I know both of you are committed to these same ideals and that we have worked very hard together to resolve the many issues surrounding transgender student participation in sports.
Okay.
Unfortunately, HB 11 has several fundamental flaws and should be reconsidered because the bill was substantially changed in the final hours of the legislative session with no public input and in a way that will likely bankrupt the Utah High School Athletic Association and result in millions of dollars in legal fees for local school districts with no state protection, and for several other reasons below, I have chosen to veto this bill. The transgender sports participation issue is one of the most divisive of our time, literally only because Republicans are weaponizing it for votes. By the way, they're trying to scare their
just like in Poland,
voting for them,
just like
women. When
this same thing happens in Poland, trans issues are being weaponized for bigots in the party to get votes. That's right.
That would like it
that
for
is what
women
happens.
To remain property have been against literally every single piece of progressive legislation to make it so that women have more equality in the United States. I digress. Because there are logical and passionate arguments by many parties, finding compromise or common ground can be difficult. Sadly, there is very little room for nuance in this debate, but I hope you will permit me an opportunity to explain my reasons for vetoing HB 11. Utah has a history of trying to approach complicated issues in ways that bring collaboration and fairness, from immigration and criminal justice reform to LGBTQ protections and religious freedom. Utah has often shown a usual willingness to find new and compassionate ways to solve the most toxic debates of our time. It's odd that you would phrase it in this way, an unusual willingness to find new and compassionate ways. A little bit of self-awareness of your home state, perhaps.
True.
For this reason, I was heartened and encouraged to see legislators sitting down with LGBTQ advocates to work on a compromise that would both protect women's sports and allow some participation for our most marginalized transgendered youth. So, we're not as progressive as we could be.
Yeah.
No other state has done this, and we hoped that
Transgendered.
Utah would be first.
What does it mean to be transgendered?
Which is specifically on its own. I don't know if that was intentional or just literally a constraint of the amount of words that are here, but it's the one that people are really pointing at a lot. Finally, there is one more important reason for this veto. I must admit, I am not an expert on transgenderism, which is why he would even call it that to begin with.
Yeah.
I struggle to understand so much of it, and the science is conflicting. When in doubt,
No, it's not.
By the way, there's vast medical consensus about a variety
The science is not conflicted.
as well as the
Thank
science
you.
behind it. But, it depends on, what information you're getting, where you're getting it from. All of the information that you'll get if you are prone to reading conservative outlets is going to be completely skewed, wholly false.
Don't get scientific data from outlets.
Doubt, however, I always try to err on the side of kindness, mercy, and compassion. I also try to get proximate, and I am learning so much from our transgender community. There are great kids who face enormous struggles. Here are the numbers that have most impacted my decision: 75,000, 4, 1, 86, and 56. And he goes on to post the last page where all of those numbers are relevant. 75,000 high school kids participating in high school sports in Utah. That's a number. 75,000. 4 transgender kids playing high school sports in Utah. That is a pretty large gap, I would say. 75,000 total high school kids participating in sports in Utah, and only 4 of them are trans. But
Yeah.
what goes on? 1 transgender student playing in girls' sports. So out of 75,000 people playing in high school sports, only 1 of them is playing on the girls' team. 86% of trans youth reporting suicidality. 56% of trans youth have attempted suicide. So this is reporting suicidality, which is just if you've had any kind of suicidal thoughts, which even cis people have, because depression affects everybody. The most common retort you'll see, and you've probably heard it debunked a million times if you watch progressive media regarding the topic, the 41% or 42% or 40% or whatever form it comes in is usually weaponized by transphobes to tell trans people to kill themselves. And that number is just the number of attempted suicides that trans people have reported attempting. It's not to say that that amount of trans people kill themselves and are successful in the attempt. That's the attempts. So a lot of those people are still alive. And in trying to weaponize that percentage, they just want more trans people to kill themselves.
Bigots are just not very smart. Like,
whenever that number goes up or whatever.
Bigots don't know how to read numbers.
Kind of reads a little bit into their overall ideology and their care for their fellow human.
True.
Anyway,
they don't care.
You know, apropos of nothing. 4 kids and only 1 of them
They don't care.
sports. That's what all of this is about. 4 kids who aren't dominating or winning trophies are taking scholarships. 4 kids who are just trying to find some friends and feel like they are part of something. 4 kids trying to get through each day. Rarely has so much fear and anger been directed at so few. I don't understand what they are going through or why they feel the way they do, but I want them to live. And all the research shows that little acceptance and connection can reduce suicidality significantly. This is very true, by the way. The way that that 40% number goes down is by transphobes stopping to be transphobic, by their local community, their parents, their friends, the people they interact with on a daily basis, being more accepting of the fact that they wish to present themselves and feel that they
truly are.
Either men or women.
They want to be themselves.
That at birth.
And it
That's
works.
That's all you have to do to fix that. All you have to do is not be a reprehensible piece of shit to trans people, and then they stop feeling bad about themselves, and the suicide attempts go down. For that reason, as much as any other, I have taken this action in the hope that we can continue to work together and find a better way. If a veto override occurs, which I would imagine it would, I hope we can work to find ways to show these 4 kids that we love them and they have a place in our state. I recognize of my decision. Politically, it would be much easier and better for me to simply sign the bill. I've always tried to do what I feel is the right thing, regardless of the consequences. Sometimes I don't get it right, and I do not fault those who disagree with me. But even if you do disagree with me, I hope this letter helps you understand the reasons for my decision. Sincerely, Spencer J. Cox, Governor. Pretty based, if you ask me. Especially considering he openly states he doesn't understand everything about trans people, and he doesn't especially understand what they're going through, because this is a cis man, I would assume.
Cis boy.
For the fact that it is so few people being targeted, and this is just in Utah, but by the way, the amount of trans people in the United States, infinitesimally small compared to the amount of cis people.
It doesn't matter how many people. It matters that bigots hate and they get,
that you could possibly find. And not only
that, it doesn't matter.
Being trans is just another thing that goes into your broader identity. So, for instance, white trans people have to deal with the fact that they are trans and the transphobia that comes with that. However, black and brown trans people have to deal with the fact that they are trans and also racism that comes with that. And it all compounds on itself because to be trans, your gender identity is only one aspect of the broader self and the way that the society you live in will engage with it. So not only is it the case that an attack on trans people will make trans people's lives harder, it will also exacerbate the other things that those people go through if they have additional ways that they are subjugated in society, be it the basis of their race, ethnicity, the language they speak, and whatever else, these immutable characteristics that they have no control over. It compounds on itself and makes everything worse for that too. It's a big problem. And I really do appreciate the fact that the governor of Utah here has decided to take off the blinders, get out of the delusion, to like rip himself out of the falsified version of reality that conservatives have built for themselves. And try to actually understand the science and data behind trans people. It's very, very nice to see in a sea of all this kind of garbage, you know? Anyway,
it's positive.
I feel like I'm meandering and rambling throughout this entire video.
No, I think you've done very well.
And I thought it would be.
But I feel like I've added my 2 cents as well. I've enjoyed it a lot, actually.
on the YouTube. It's the content that I find I can do the best and I have the easiest time producing.
Yeah.
But I do like to do these more commentary style things every now and again.
This is really nice. So we will like this. I like this video. We will comment. I will comment. This is an amazing video. Definitely still relevant. A great addition to the trans women in sports discourse. Thank you, Giggler. It's true. Okay, comment, okay. Comment, you see here, this is like the comment, I comment. Okay. I link the original. Okay. And I also link the article about women in ancient societies being hunters. Okay. And now, while we continue to color the animation,